Good morning, CFFers, and welcome to Coach Talk number 4. The first 3 Coach Talks are available on YouTube, and this is number 4. I try to do one of these each week, and this week is revisiting a topic from the past. It's metabolic profiling and race planning with a twist, and that twist is the update. So let's go through each slide just to kind of refresh what was talked about in the past. There is a YouTube video for this presentation that's probably a year or 2 old. So what I stated back at that time, I'll just go through the highlights, is that I want to, of course, train my coached athletes to be the best they can be on race day. And when we're thinking about triathletes, a lot of that is to understand our current fitness as a baseline and using that information to determine how to train best. So for my example here, the bike test, I could tell by my AeroTune test results that my VLA max was too high. My critical power was probably a little bit on the low to moderate side, but my fat max power was much too low. So fat max power 179, VLA max 0.72, critical power 274. Just not good enough for what I wanted to achieve on race day. I was burning way too much carbohydrates for fuel. And that's shown by the fat max and the VLA max. So I went through that example and kind of looked at the entirety of the event and what watts I could produce. And then I downgraded those watts to be a little bit less because it was a hot day. But I do revisit this same information at the end, so I'll keep moving forward. Race planning is something I do for all my athletes, and I did it for myself here. I predicted 5 hours and 11 minutes, and I think I came in at 5 hours and 8 minutes, and this was Door County 2022. So again, really good on the prediction, had a good day at the race. I did have a little bit of a challenge on the run, but it wasn't nearly the challenges I had at a previous race, which was Ohio 70.3. And I do revisit that at the last slide or two. So what I'm really getting at, and this is something that was a result of a test that I did yesterday for AeroTune Metabolic, is this dedication over the long period, the long view. You know, what I had to do is, for my own best interest, I had to leave group riding and MTB, mountain bike rides, behind. That wasn't easy, but you know, I really wanted to do my best at the 70.3 distance triathlon, and that was most compelling for me. So what I was able to do is take my 70.3 race results from 5 hours and 21 minutes at Ohio, and a couple of years later bring that to 2 races where I went sub 5 hours this year, with the last one being 4:55. And the AeroTune test results reflect this change very well. My VO2 max is lower as of this last test, so it went from 58 to 52. But as many of you know, those are doctor's orders. I have a mild heart condition where they just don't want me at the highest heart rates training, and that's typical for VO2 max. We get benefits from all training for VO2, but the most powerful training is doing the VO2 intervals that are usually 5 minutes or less, and they're at very high heart rates. So I've left that training behind for the most part. My FTP is now higher, 274 to 282. Critical power FTP are similar. My VLA max is lower, so 0.72 to 0.28. For triathletes doing long course, we want to be about 0.3 or slightly less. So VLA max is now optimal. And my fat max is higher. It went from 179 watts, where I'm burning the maximum amount of fat that I burn, to 203. So that's a great showing of the efficiency that I've gained over time. So while my VO2 max is lower, my FTP is higher, and my ability to burn fats is much higher. Last slide, 2021 versus 2023. So I did this presentation back in 2021. And back then at 220 watts, at least through this metabolic test that I believe I've seen enough good results, I was burning 99 grams of carbs at 220 watts, 400 or 45 grams of fat, and 10 grams of protein. So what I did is I broke that down into calories, but what you want to take a point on this, a number that probably is worth focusing on was the percentage. So when you break that into calories, it's 47% from carbohydrates, 48% from fat, and 5% from protein. And that's about 841 calories per hour. Now let's fast forward to 2023. And at that same 220 watts, now I'm burning 60 grams of carbs, so 39 grams less. And I'm leaning on fats to the tune of 60 grams per hour. And then protein's about the same. So when we break that into percentages, 29% of my calories from carbs, 66% from fats, and 5% from proteins. And that equates to 820 calories per hour. So the calories per hour are very similar, but that's the shift that I've noticed, and I've seen it in race results. And I just did this test yesterday. And so I didn't have any way of fooling the test. I just do the best power testing I can. I did that on both tests. AeroTune will kick out the test if it doesn't look like I did optimal results. So what I'm trying to say there is, if my result in the file that you put into AeroTune, which is your test, if that has something where you didn't pace the interval right, you did some sort of error, it will flag that, and you can typically have the test rejected. So for both of these tests, they passed, they met all the criteria, and this is the shift over time. So I find this to be very interesting. I didn't know if I would get this result, but it is what it is. And I do see that in racing, that 5 hour and 21 minute down to 5:08, down to now about 4:55, and repeating that twice. So for me, that was worthwhile. I had a slight condition that I need to train around. I've done that. I wanted to be the best 70.3 athlete I could be anyways. And I didn't mind changing, I guess, my focus and my goals, because it was a shift. I had been doing the mountain biking, cyclocross, and short stuff for so long. It was a good shift to go to the long course. So your situation might be different. If you do metabolic testing like I did here, but you get different results, the training might be different, but the goal is typically the same if we're doing long course triathlon. So if someone's doing a 1 hour time trial and that's their goal, like a 40K time trial, again, how we work VLA max, VO2 threshold would be different. So everyone's different. I'm just using my case study as an example. So I'm trying to keep these under 10 minutes. We're at 9 minutes and 6 seconds. Hopefully you find this valuable, and hopefully it inspires you to do some AeroTune testing with me. I am an AeroTune coach. You can get tests for slightly less cost through me, but if we're going to use the results and we're going to modify your training, I think it's worth sharing the expense. So typically about $40 per test, and you would pay that on AeroTune anyways, but that helps me offset some of my costs to get a deeper intervention with you and do a similar review like this to get the best of your test results. All right. Thanks for paying attention, and I appreciate your time. Let me know if you have any questions by contacting me on Facebook, Messenger, or you can leave a comment on this video. Thanks.